When most of us think about the cloud or artificial intelligence, we picture something that doesn't really exist. We imagine a clean, frictionless space where information just floats through the ether. The reality looks like this: endless physical rows of server racks and cooling systems. The cloud is a tangible, physical place. And right now, training the next generation of AI models requires an almost incomprehensible amount of electricity. We are talking about constant, gigawatt-level power, billions of watts running continuously just to keep massive clusters of computer chips from shutting down. Because of that massive, unyielding energy demand, the companies building these AI models are no longer acting like software startups. They have rapidly become heavy industrial energy consumers. The problem is that the public electricity grid cannot keep up. Utilities are simply not equipped to instantly deliver gigawatts of new capacity through aging transmission towers to power massive new data centers. Upgrading that grid takes time. Planning and building high-capacity power lines, approving new nuclear plants, or setting up utility-scale solar farms takes years of permitting and construction. The AI industry operates on a timeline of quarterly model releases and rapid hardware cycles. In that environment, waiting 5 years for a grid connection is a non-starter. A competitor could finish multiple training generations while the paperwork sits on a desk. To get the massive amounts of electricity they need right now, they are finding ways to bypass public infrastructure altogether and build private, off-grid power sources. That tension between software speed and heavy industry recently collided in Memphis, Tennessee, at a massive new data center called Colossus, built by the AI company xAI. To get the site online, the company installed dozens of methane gas turbines. These function as the primary, around-the-clock power source for the facility, creating an industrial-scale generation plant to support the server clusters. But soon after the hardware turned on, local regulators issued a warning. They stated the massive data center was operating these machines without the required air quality permits. The company had attempted a legal workaround. They tried to classify this massive fleet of operating turbines under an exemption meant for small, portable, or temporary generators. By stretching a narrow legal exemption until it snapped, the company avoided the public scrutiny that environmental permitting is supposed to guarantee. Local residents were left watching a massive compute operation move into their neighborhood without the transparency normally required for industrial hardware. You might wonder why a company at the cutting edge of technology doesn't just use clean energy like wind or solar. The answer comes down to uptime. If a cloud blocks the sun or the wind dies down, the data center loses power and the AI training process crashes. This chart illustrates the engineering problem. The erratic curve shows wind and solar power, which naturally rises and falls with the weather. The perfectly straight, unbreakable horizontal line is what engineers call dispatchable power. It is a steady baseline of constant electricity, and right now, on-site gas turbines are one of the few ways to guarantee that flat line. But that reliability comes with heavy local costs. While burning natural gas produces carbon dioxide, the immediate threats to the people living right next door are toxic nitrogen oxides and deafening industrial noise dropping directly onto their homes. These emissions are not abstract climate statistics. They are tangible health burdens falling on communities that are already strained by heavy industrial zones. On-site gas might be the ugly, available answer for engineers desperate to keep their servers online, but it simply transfers the cost of that heavy industrial convenience onto the public. This story would have caused friction anywhere, but xAI is owned by Elon Musk. That association immediately signals a specific corporate philosophy to the public, one where regulatory rules are treated as obstacles to be broken, rather than limits to be respected. Because of that history, residents hold a grim assumption. Even if regulators rule against the unpermitted turbines, the company might just absorb the eventual fines as a minor expense and keep right on running the machines. The tech industry argues that artificial intelligence will create incredible economic productivity in the future. That may be true. But a promise about tomorrow's productivity does not legally or morally launder today's pollution and permit violations. The local regulator's decision against the Memphis turbines serves as a critical warning flare for the entire technology sector. Because Memphis is just a preview. The booming demand for AI threatens to create unpermitted private power plants across the country if our national grid bottlenecks are not resolved. To prevent this,
The United States needs a cohesive national power strategy. We need faster, clean generation, massive grid upgrades, and realistic permitting processes, rather than letting companies rely on localized loopholes. When your operations require gigawatts of electricity, you are an industrial actor. You don't get to build the future by hiding a heavy-duty power plant inside a legal loophole.